Region, your business, your source.
I am VJ Tolan and you are watching Caribbean Business Exchange.
The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible. Innovation, inclusion, and international tensions. Hello and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, July 21, 2025. I'm Yanil Wood. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Jamaica doubles down on digital transformation with the return of SalesCon 360, positioning the island as the region's sales innovation powerhouse. On the regional front, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank rolls out the first STEP account, a game changer for financial access across the ECCU. And over on the global stage, China and the EU gear up for a high-stakes summit in Beijing amid simmering trade tensions. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after our first break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Introducing the Corporate Services Unit, your go-to experts for corporate secretarial solutions. We offer statutory compliance, efficient minute taking, registered office address services, management of board and members meetings, setup and maintenance of corporate registers. Stay ahead with our proactive approach to new regulations. We operate under the Trust and Corporate Service Provider, licensed to the JCSD Trustee Services Limited. We're here to simplify your corporate journey, no matter the size of your company. Contact the Corporate Service Unit today and let's streamline your compliance journey together, because your success is our business.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with local developments in digital transformation and sales innovation. Jamaica is fast becoming the Caribbean's hub for digital sales innovation. As businesses across the region scramble to adapt to the demands of AI-driven marketplaces, Kingston is where the conversation will be taking shape. From live demonstrations to interactive panels and industry insights, the island is attracting professionals looking to sharpen their edge in both online and offline selling. Now in its third year, SalesCon 360 returns to the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel this Tuesday for a dynamic, future-focused experience, bringing with it global experts and regional thought leaders to explore the future of selling. Among this year's top-tier speakers include Executive Director of the John Maxwell team, Dr. Stephen Crawford, AI expert Leslie Lee Fook, branding strategist Lane Jones, and Head of Marketing and Communications at National Commercial Bank, Kesia Johnson Vaughan. With AI and automation radically reshaping how products are marketed and sold, the conference dives into trends such as digital trust, buyer psychology, and the evolving customer journey. Local and international exhibitors are also expected to demo the latest sales tech tools in real time, further positioning Jamaica as a rising player in the region's innovation economy. As Jamaica prepares for a sharp increase in visitor arrivals over the next 5 years, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the sector must embrace technology to sustain and accelerate growth. With global travel projected to double in that period, Minister Bartlett highlighted the transformative role of innovation in reshaping aviation and tourism experiences. According to the minister, the new technology in aviation is creating a whole new opportunity for larger, more significantly competent and efficient equipment, bigger planes flying higher, carrying more passengers, moving beyond the speed of sound, crossing waters zillions of miles within hours. He was speaking at the Digicel Business Hospitality Forum recently, where hotel executives gathered to discuss digital trends reshaping the sector. There, Bartlett told stakeholders that two powerful forces have converged: the enduring human desire to explore and a sweeping technological revolution redefining how travel is experienced. He outlined 4 key shifts in the industry: how destinations connect with travelers, changing visitor expectations, the delivery of vacation experiences, and technology's role in building more sustainable and inclusive tourism. Minister Bartlett stressed that tourism remains Jamaica's economic engine and a cultural pillar. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to empowering the hospitality sector with the tools and training needed to keep Jamaica globally competitive. And remittances continue to serve as a critical source of financial support for many Jamaican households, with new research revealing that without these inflows, a significant number of citizens would be unable to cover daily living expenses. Executive Chairman of Market Research Services Limited, MRSL, Don Anderson, shared the findings from the latest JCC Business and Consumer Indices during a recent event hosted by Grace Kennedy Capital Management. The event, themed Global Trade Wars, a ripple effect on business and your wallet, explored how global economic shifts are impacting local consumers and businesses.
The data now confirms that remittances play a significant role in ensuring that people can meet their daily household expenditure. So the talk about what's likely to happen with remittances is very, very important from the perspective of the proposed tax, if you wish, on remittances.
He also provided a breakdown of how remittance inflows have changed over the years.
Well, what we have found is that over the years, and again, that dip in remittance inflow by not quantum now, but in terms of number of households receiving remittances, is reflected by the COVID years. But it began to pick up back in 2023, and year to date, after 2 quarters, 31% of the households are now receiving remittances, coming back up to the peak of 36% in 2018. So 31%, and it's a pretty noticeable jump from 28% in 2024, that's the year accumulated, to 25 year to date, that's 31%, representing a 3% increase in the number of households that are receiving remittances.
The MRSL Executive Chairman further outlined the profile of Jamaicans most dependent on remittances, pointing to patterns based on socioeconomic background, geographical location, and age.
And we, of course, have established by virtue of being able to analyze the data by various demographic units, we have established that a wide cross-section of households. It's not just limited to households in the low socioeconomic group, but households in the high and middle and high socioeconomic categories. We can see that 22% of households in the upper category receive remittances, as against, of course, 41% in the low category and 37% in the middle. And in the high, middle, and high, it's 22%. But it's right across the socioeconomic profile of the country, remittances are being received within households.
Executive Chairman of Market Research Services Limited, Don Anderson. Now to foreign currency trading news. At the end of currency trading on Monday, the US dollar is selling for $161.17, the Canadian for $117.84, and the pound sterling for $215.05. The going rate for the euro is $188.53. Up next, trading news from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 102 stocks traded on the JSE Monday, of which 37 advanced, 45 declined, and 20 traded firm. Leading the winners were First Rock Real Estate Investments US Dollar, One Great Studio Company, Kingston Wharves, and JMMB Group. Now the losers were led by Main Event Entertainment, Pulse Investments, Medical Disposables and Supplies, and Cygnus Real Estate Financial Jamaican Dollar. The main index declined by 556.91 points or 0.18% to close at 304,921.89. The junior market index also declined but by 45.72 or 1.34% to close at 3,367.44. And from the stock market, we go to our market education feature, where we'll be featuring rural banks. Rural banks are financial institutions specifically established to provide banking services to individuals and businesses in rural areas. They focus on offering credit loans, savings, accounts, and other financial products tailored for farmers, small businesses, and local communities. These banks play a vital role in supporting rural development by helping to modernize infrastructure and stimulate economic growth in these regions. A notable example is the National People's Cooperative Bank of Jamaica Limited, or NPCB, based in Mandeville, Manchester. The NPCB has been serving Jamaica's rural communities for over 120 years, providing essential financial support to help these areas thrive. And that's it for a market education feature and the end of the local segment. Please stay with us. The regional business news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Hi, I'm Nielsen Rose, host of Let's Talk Stocks, reminding you that health is indeed wealth and time is really money. Why not spend a little time with us? Weekday mornings, 9 to 9:30 a.m. for your daily dose of business, economic, and investment insights.
Welcome back back, we go now to news from across the region. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, has introduced the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU's First Step Account, a simplified savings product designed to remove long-standing barriers to banking access across the Eastern Caribbean. This new account responds to widespread public frustration over the difficulty of opening traditional bank accounts. ECCB Governor Timothy Antoine says the move directly addresses these concerns and supports the bank's wider financial inclusion agenda.
We have heard your cries and complaints, and the ECCB, in partnership with the ECCU Bankers Association, has responded with the ECCU First Step Account. The features of this account include simplified due diligence, which means you do not need 2 pieces of ID, you now need 1. No minimum balances to open.
Governor Antoine says one of the key features of this account is that it pays interest on every deposit, no matter how small.
No minimum balances to maintain the account. Interest bearing, because we understand the time value of money, and poor people must be able to bank money. So whether it's $1 or it's $1,000, you will earn interest. A cap of $36,000 initially for annual deposits. And of course, perhaps you'll graduate to bigger things as we expect. And this account can only be closed for cause. And when I say cause, I mean money laundering, fraud, and the like.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine. The government of St. Lucia has signed a landmark agreement with GK Insurance Limited to roll out a parametric insurance scheme for banana and plantain farmers. The first initiative of its kind in nearly 4 decades, the scheme provides wind-only coverage with automatic payouts triggered by tropical storm or hurricane winds, removing the need for lengthy claim processes. Agriculture Minister Alfred Prosper says the scheme is designed to give farmers fast financial relief when disaster strikes. The government has committed $1 million to support over 1,000 registered farmers.
I am happy today, I am very happy today that we can say to our banana and plantain farmers that in the event they are affected by any natural disaster this hurricane season, they will receive some level of compensation. It would not be sustainable for the government of St. Lucia to provide financial support to our agriculture, our farmers, fishers, etc., every time there is a natural disaster. And this is why this insurance program is the beginning of a major agricultural insurance program for the entire agricultural sector.
St. Lucia's Agriculture Minister Alfred Prosper. The initiative is part of the Regional Economic Agri-Insurance Program, REAP, developed with Lynch Caribbean brokers to protect Caribbean farmers, including those in St. Lucia, from extreme weather. Executive Chairman Gregory Rose has pledged continued support for the country's climate resilience efforts.
The REAP insurance program is just one of many innovative risk solutions within our portfolio that we would like to introduce here in St. Lucia to secure y'all's future. As traditional insurance evolves to address the world's challenging risks, such as climate change, cyber threats, stressed supply chains and markets, we are prepared with cutting-edge tools and tailored solutions that are very much needed to solve and meet your most complex risk management needs.
That was Executive Chairman of Lynch Caribbean Brokers, Gregory Rose. And a Trinidad and Tobago-based conglomerate, Agostina Limited, has announced a formal extension of the closing date of its takeover bid for Prestige Holdings Limited, PHL, the operator of several major quick-service restaurant brands in the Caribbean. Originally set to close in late July, the offer will now remain open until 4 p.m. on August 5, providing additional time for shareholders to consider Agostini's proposal. Agostini is offering to acquire up to 62.5 million common shares in PHL at a rate of 1 Agostini share for every 4.8 Prestige shares, a move that would significantly increase its stake and influence in one of the region's largest food services companies. The terms and conditions of the offer initially set out in a takeover bid circulated date June 17 remain unchanged. In line with applicable securities law, Agostini has pledged to pay for all tendered and validly deposited shares within 10 days after the new closing date, provided that all conditions are met or waived. Now to trading news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. 19 securities traded on the TTSC Monday, of which 6 advanced, 7 declined, and 6 traded firm. Leading the winners were Pointless Industrial Port Development, Grace Kennedy, CIBC Caribbean Bank, and the West Indian Tobacco Company, while the losers were led by Guardian Holdings, National Enterprises, Unilever Caribbean, and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings. Other results include the All TNT Index declining by 6.87 to close at 1,479.83. The Composite Index declining by 0.86 to close at 1,016.92. And the Cross-Listed Index advanced by 0.78 to close at 73.03. And still remaining at 96.08 is the SME Index. And we go for a quick break. Please come back with us as Nielsen Rose is up next with the International Business News segment.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. In the international news today, the People's Bank of China, PBOC, held its key lending rates steady during its July fixing, aligning with market expectations. The one-year loan prime rate, LPR, a benchmark for most corporate and household loans, remained at 3%, while the 5-year LPR, which influences mortgage rates, stayed at 3.5%. This decision comes amid growing signs of economic headwinds, including sluggish domestic demand, persistent deflationary pressures, a prolonged property downturn, and the impact of broad U.S. tariffs. Recent data showed GDP grew by 5.2% in Q2, slightly above the 5.1% forecasted, but down from the 5.4% in the previous 2 quarters. For the first half of 2025, the economy expanded by 5.3%. However, producer prices continued to decline, marking the steepest drop since July 2023. On a more positive note, new bank lending surpassed expectations, reaching a 3-month high. In May, the PBOC had to cut borrowing costs by 10 basis points in an effort to cushion the economy from external pressures. Canada's industrial prices rose 0.4% month over month in June of 2025, rebounding from 2 consecutive declines and exceeding market expectations of a 0.1% increase. The uptick was primarily driven by a 2.8% rise in primary non-ferrous metal products, fueled by higher prices for unwrought gold, silver, and platinum group of metals and their alloys, which jumped 5.9%. Notably, unwrought platinum group metals and their alloys surged 15.6%, marking their largest monthly increase since September 2012. Additional contributors to the increase included meat, fish, and dairy products, up 2.2%, continuing a 7-month streak of gains, led by fresh and frozen chicken, 6.7%, fresh and frozen beef and veal, 2.2%, energy and petroleum products, 1.1%, fruits, vegetables, feed, and other products, up 1.2%. China has confirmed it will host a high-level summit with the European Union in Beijing this week, commemorating 50 years of diplomatic relations amid escalating global trade tensions. The 25th China-EU summit, set for Thursday, will bring together European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, European Council President Antonio Costa, and Chinese President Xi Jinping, with Premier Li Qiang co-chairing the talks. The summit aims to ease trade frictions and strengthen economic and political ties as Beijing seeks to diversify its global partnerships amid growing uncertainty in its relationship with the United States. Tensions between the EU and China have been simmering since 2021, when the EU imposed sanctions on Chinese officials over alleged human rights abuses in Xinjiang, prompting retaliatory measures from Beijing. More recently, disputes have emerged over issues such as Chinese electric vehicle exports, European brandy and pork, public procurement of medical devices, rare earth exports. The summit offers a critical opportunity for both sides to recalibrate their relationship in light of shifting geopolitical and economic dynamics. Yields on major government bonds declined on Monday as investors adopted a cautious stance amid geopolitical tensions and uncertainty over monetary policy. In the U.S., the 10-year Treasury yield fell nearly 5 basis points to 4.37%, marking its fourth straight decline and the lowest level in over a week, as concerns mounted over potential new tariffs and the Federal Reserve's independence. Across the Atlantic, the UK 10-year gilt yield eased to 4.641%, pulling back from a near 7-week high. Meanwhile, Germany's 10-year bond yield dipped below 2.65%, its lowest since July 9th, ahead of the European Central Bank's policy decision and upcoming flash PMI data. In France, the 10-year bond yield dipped below 3.35%, while Russia's 10-year yield edged down to 14.21, reflecting a broader trend of easing yields across global markets. And those were your international business stories. After the break, join Neil for your recap.
Let's all get fit. This summer's a drip. Hip dips and split. Power in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes the body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so home, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go!
Welcome back, and now to recap our top stories. Locally, Jamaica doubles down on digital transformation with the return of the SalesCon 360 conference. Regionally, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank introduces First Step account to expand financial access across ECCU. And on the international scene, China and EU to hold high-stakes summit in Beijing as trade tensions simmer. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of Nielsen Rose and the entire production team, I'm Yunil Wood, wishing for you a splendid evening, and thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
Hi, I'm Haley Grant. You're watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.